Hello, 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 and welcome to Coffee with the Carterman. There you go, there you go. Look at the big sign back there, Coffee with the Carterman. Um, Great show today, great show today. A lot of fascinating, fascinating stuff to cover. And one fun item, I think you're going to find it a lot of fun with a sports expert, okay? Sports expert that whose father I worked for and was the world's greatest handicapper, and his son is going to come on with us today is an expert, sports expert in his own right. So we're going to have a little fun with that. Um, we're going to start with the hot corner, and two big stories. The second one, as I said, is the little sports coverage here. Um, but we're going to start with the fake news death watch. Some of you may remember that from the past that we used to do that regularly. As a matter of fact, when I looked it up, we started way back in October 2024. So it's almost 2 years ago, almost exactly 2 years ago. Fake news expert death watches first, and we're going to do our what I'm calling NFL Today. NFL Today. Some of you might say, "Well, what are we talking about football on a political show for?" Well, I'll tell you why. Because conservatives like you and me, you and me, you and me, we have a broad range of interests. We're well-rounded people. Okay, we're into life. Unlike liberals who live in the swill of their own hate. I mean, it's what they do. I'm sorry. You watch them every day. The things they do. Defacing um, our memorials in Washington, and their obsessive hatred with Donald Trump. That uh, the syndrome they have that makes them go wacko like Robert De Niro. It's just how liberals are. They're monomaniacal about bile, bile. And it permeates their whole system, even the way they look. But that conservative, we're not like that. We're well-rounded, and we like to enjoy ourselves in life. And a little NFL now before the season starts. I think it's going to be fun for us. So we're going to have that. We're going to have an insider expert interview um, with someone who is an expat expert. Matter of fact, not an expat expert, the expat expert, um, uh, Charlotte Tweed, who, for those of you who aren't familiar with the term expat, and tell you the truth, I wasn't until I became one. Remember, I lived in Honduras for a year. Um, an expat is somebody who leaves the U.S. or whatever country they're in and moves to another country. And Charlotte is the expert on that. And it's pretty fascinating what's going on. I call it a population inversion. Population inversion. I'll tell you what, I'm going to talk about it, a little more later, okay, in our slot that we usually reserve for the expert interview. Charlotte's in Mexico and the electricity went out. So, it happens. It happens. They have a president of Mexico, Miss Scheinbaum, who is so obsessed with catering to the cartels that I guess she can't tend to things like people's electricity and water and their basic needs. A terrible person. Terrible person. Horrible person. I don't know why the Mexicans ever stuck her in that top spot. But I don't get to depart for a second. Why do people in these democracies ever stick the kind of people they're putting in the highest office now, other than the U.S.? I mean, you have an invasion by Africans of Spain, but please keep in mind the Prime Minister of Spain, I think it's Pedro Sanchez or some such thing, he invited them in. The media keeps covering this. Oh, look at this invasion out of nowhere. No, it's not. He said we want open borders. He said it, and he invited these invaders in, while at the same time just eviscerating Trump for standing up for our sovereignty. So they're getting what they deserve, as happens, frankly, in most democracies. So that's the insider interview. As I say, Charlotte can't be with us, but I'm going to talk to you a little more about what I call the population inversion. And I think you're going to be shocked at what's happening in the United States, Canada. I'm just going to talk about our own quarter, the Western Hemisphere here. Population version. Okay, so we'll see that interval prediction, which may be, it's going to be, you're going to know whether this prediction is true or not probably within, the next 48 hours. So I'm going to make my prediction, and some of you may say, well, that's a little risque. so be it. So let's get on with the show. Let's do this thing, okay? First, the hot corner. Let's go to the hot corner. Hot corner news and views. And I'm going to talk to you about our Coffee with the Carterman fake news death watch, which, as I say, we've been doing for years now, and it gets worse and worse. Okay, it's gotten to the point now where the death watch with today's media, it's like watching a rotting corpse. Okay, the death watch has become so dominant. Watching them as they continue to decline. Reminds me. I remember when I was a kid, my dad went to visit a very old man in the hospital who was passing away. And when he got home, I said, well, how's Mr. I don't remember his last name now, but how's he doing? And he said, to tell you the truth, looking at him now, it's like he's waiting for the embalming fluid. So, well, these newscasters on the fake news, the mainstream media, the networks, are waiting for the embalming fluid, and it's an ugly sight to behold. And Donald Trump it makes it clear that he doesn't like working with the walking soon to be dead. Gary, can you roll that wonderful clip of Trump laying into one of the media people in the Oval Office? I just
quiet. You're very disrespectful in front of this young man. Okay? Don't you find her disrespectful? He understands. Quiet. Who are you with?
I'm with CNN.
Fake news. You're fake news. You're a loud, boisterous person. You're fake news. Be quiet. Be quiet. Be quiet. You're a fake reporter, and you report fake news. Go ahead.
Mr. President, is there enough food on the USS Lincoln?
Yeah, it is. That was a CNN fake report.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Trump leaves no stone unturned. One of the nice things about getting older, he just turned 80, is the filters are gone. The filter, once you get to be our age, I'll be 80 in 2 weeks. The filters are gone, and you say whatever's on your mind, as I'm sure you've noticed from Coffee with the Carterman. So let's take a look at these people, okay? These fake news purveyors. They're so filled with left-wing hate, what I mentioned at the outset of the show, that they can't stop lying. It's part of their persona now. It's who they are. I mean, there's Caitlin Collins, okay? Caitlin Collins. Look at that look on her face. That is the look she perpetually adopts whenever she is going after a conservative she interviews. Every conservative she interviews, that's the look on the face. That's demented. That's just demented. Do you get that look when you talk to people? I don't. I don't even know anybody I dislike that much. Okay, Caitlin Collins, one of the worst. She reminds me of I was friends with Jerry Clower, the legendary country comedian, and one of the things he used to say over and over when he talked about the Ledbetter family, Marcel, Darcel, Eugene, and Jerry would say, "If I'm lying, I'm dying." Well, they're lying and they're dying, and that picture is proof positive. But let's not stop there, okay? Caitlin's not alone. Caitlin's not alone in her dementia, okay? How about this woman? Dana Bash. Dana Bash. That's when she was on with Robert Kennedy, lying, and Kennedy caught her and called her out, right? You remember that interview? Kennedy just made it clear to her, you are nothing but a puppet. And he says it over and over again, a parrot. You're nothing but a parrot. You're a parrot. And you just keep repeating whatever you're told. And with Dana, If you watch her closely, I'm not, you know, if you do, don't stay on long or else you'll make yourself sick. But if you watch her closely, Dana Bash does nothing, nothing. She's not a very smart person. She does nothing, as you can tell by the look on the face there. I mean, that's a typical Dana Bash look. She does nothing but read deep state handouts, the papers they give her, the papers they give her. Every morning she gets the paper handed to her by her deep state contact, and that's what she reads. If you want to know if I'm right or not, watch her when she is questioning people. After they finish their answer, Dana, instead of pursuing it, the topic and all, she goes like this. Well, what about if this or that or the other? To look down, the reading, the handout from the deep state. That's all she does. All she does. And let me go a little deeper here about Dana. Dana Bash. Dana Bash. Born Dana Schwartz. Most recent husband is John King, another network nut. But you say to yourself, well, wait a minute. She was born Dana Schwartz. Most recent husband, I think they're divorced. Understandably, they couldn't even stand each other. It was King. Well, why is she still known as Dana Bash? I'll tell you why. Because Dana Bash, her first husband, she divorced years ago, was Chief of Staff to the CIA, Jeremy Bash. You're starting to put 2 and 2 together to get 4, huh? You start where she gets the handouts. Jeremy Bash, her former husband, who for some reason she has kept the name forever. Now she could have gone back to Schwartz. She could have gone to King when she married him, but King's a nice name and it's a very noble sounding name. But Dana gets her handouts straight from the CIA. Ex-husband Jeremy Bash, Dana Bash's ex-husband. So, you know, that's what you've got when you're watching this woman. Look down, read it. What did Jeremy tell me to say next? Okay. Well, I think that. Look there. Inveterate liars and numbskulls. That's why they're dying. They're lying and they're dying, as my friend Jerry Clower used to say. And finally, on the network news, Death Watch is one of the worst. Kristen Welker, Meet the Press, NBC News. Look at those looks. Those looks are reserved only for conservative interviewees, conservatives who make the mistake of coming on her network. How would you like to have that thing living next door to you? Hi, Kristen. How are you today? You know, it's like you feel like calling The Exorcist when the woman starts interviewing a conservative. That's awful stuff, folks. That's awful stuff because they're the ones purveying news to millions of Americans still. I mean, their numbers are dropping. I'm going to show you in a minute. But that's frightening to think that's what we have purveying news. And you can look far and wide on the mainstream media, and you're not going to find anybody much different from those three. They're all the same. It's like cookie cutter. And it makes you wonder who in the heck is behind all this? Who in the heck is behind all this? Now, the nice part is the good news about the fake news is that, as you and I have discovered now for years, give ourselves credit. We've said it for years. They really are evanescing. They are evanescing. People, most Americans now have figured them out as to what they really are. Vicious, dumb, dumb as a rock, reading CIA handouts from her ex-husband, whose names, for some reason, she decided to keep. And then with Caitlin Collins just severely challenged when it comes to her ability to suppress her own inner demons. So Americans have figured them out and are tired of them. They're tired of them. You say, well, how do you know that? How do you know that, Carter, that's so? Well, let me read you the AI, very briefly, the AI analysis of how, as AI calls it, traditional television news is going. This is short. AI, from AI. Traditional television news has suffered a substantial long-term audience erosion. This is the good news. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. CNN's primetime audience fell from 1.80 million, 1.80 million in 2020 to, ready for this? Ready for this? Caitlin, if you happen to see this, CNN's primetime audience fell from 1.80 million in 2020 to just 573,000 in 2025. That many people could turn it on by accident. Okay? It's dead. It's dead. Waiting for the embalming fluid. 68% decline. Any business you know of that lost 68% of its customers. Okay. How about MSNBC? Fell over 43% at the same time. That's nearly half its viewers. So long, we're out of here. Yeah, because we know you're lying to us and you're filled with bile. You are bilious. The three major broadcast evening newscasts, ABC, NBC, CBS, there's NBC in the middle there. Crazy word, Kristen Welker's network. Now attract roughly half the audience they commanded just 25 years ago. Again, 50% decline. There's no business in the world that can sustain that. That's what happened to Montgomery Ward. That's what happened to Sears. That's what happened to any business that if you lose that kind of customer base, your history, there's the door. You know, you're out of here. They gone, as they say on Duck Dynasty. And it's because people are tired of being lied to. So where are Americans getting their news and views and news analysis? That's the good news, folks. That's the really, really good news. The fact is they're turning to podcasts, okay? Like Coffee with the Carterman, America's #1 conservative podcast. They're turning to podcasts. Now, one of the reasons for this, quite frankly, is, think about this. It used to be that you watched them on TV, which was way on the other side of the room, okay? And in their formality, you could understand. But now you mostly watch them on your cell phone, don't you? In the palm of your hand. You can't get more intimate than that. And yet the network news is still coming at you. Well, today in the news, we had such and such a thing. It's like, hey, can you talk to me like a human? And then we had this and that and the other, and I'm the experiment of the world, and you are just a peon watching me. Hey, no, the fact is, I'm not watching. So that's one of the reasons, okay? Podcasts, we talk together, okay? I wait to hear from you. We respond. We respond when you write, okay? You can text me, 202-664-6190. You can email me, clclues at gmail.com. And we always respond. We're interpersonal. There you go. Thank you, Gary, super producer. So that's one of the reasons. But the major reason is people are just tired of being lied to, and you can get the news without the lies on your podcast. The podcast viewership has now reached an estimated 170 million Americans. More than 1 out of every 2 Americans watches podcasts instead of TV now, network TV. Very, very important. And the extra good news, The extra good news, which must give vile beings like the extra authoritative Caitlin, Kristen, and Dana nightmares, is that with podcasts, now wait for this one, folks. You're going to love this. Collectively, this is my AI analysis, nearly 5 times the number, the conservative podcasts, let me get it right, nearly conservative podcasts are watched 5 times as much as left-wing podcasts. American people are pretty smart, aren't they? 5 times as many people watch conservative podcasts like Coffee with the Carterman as watch the pablum and frankly BS over at any liberal podcasts. I don't even know the names of any of the liberal podcasts anymore because I have nothing to do with them. I ignore them, like obviously most Americans. So let's look at the figures. Don Bongino. I mean, you can't get much more conservative than Don. From 20 to 24, his podcast viewership went up 71%. Well, the networks are going, where are you going? Bongino's been going up and up and up. Conservative podcast. Mark Dice, funny guy who's very conservative, very good analysis, by the way. It's gone up 119% since 1920. And one of my favorites, I'm just giving you some examples to prove the point. Officer Tatum. I don't know whether you watch him. He's a black guy, former policeman, obviously. And Officer Tatum, solid conservative as the day is long. He has, when May of 2023, back when he first started, he quickly had 571 million views. I mean, that's how good he is. Today, are you ready for this? It's 2.17 billion. Dana, Caitlin, Kristen, can you hear that? He has more viewers than you've ever dreamed of. Cut that by, divide that by about 100, maybe 1,000, and you become somewhere near what you're left with now. You are waiting for the embalming fluid, and we can all thank God for that. The network news, waiting for the embalming fluid. Thank God. Conservative podcasts, 5 times as many people watch them as watch liberal podcasts. And that's where most Americans now are getting their news and views. Very, very important. That's one reason Donald Trump was elected, and one reason he's willing to go after the fake news on the Death Watch, like you saw at the beginning of the show. All right, there we go. So much for vitriol. It's just wonderful, wasn't it? Oh, it was just wonderful. Sometimes it's wonderful to vent your spleen against these awful people. But now let's have a little bit of fun, okay? A little bit of fun. We're not going to take a long time with this because I know some of you, not a lot, but some of you are not football fans, but the NFL season has started. The preseason games are underway now. You have to laugh about the preseason because every preseason there are several players who look really, really great. And people start saying future stars, they're going to be the franchise player for the team. And they forget this is the preseason. It's not, the starters are only in for a few minutes. And they're not running their best plays, obviously, because they're not giving everything away in preseason. So don't be too fooled by who are the superstars in the preseason. Just a word of warning. But it has started, and the season will soon start. So let's now bring on a genuine NFL expert. And he and I, for a few minutes, are going to talk NFL football. We're going to make some predictions, and you watch, because every once in a while we're bringing Mark Lasky back, and we're going to go over his predictions and mine and see who turned out to be right. So, Mark, welcome to Coffee with the Carterman.
Thanks, Carter. It's great to be on the show. I really am enjoying watching you. You're quite good, Carter. It's not easy to have a one-way conversation as you're doing, but it's really impressive to watch.
Well, it is just a pleasure to have you on. It's a pleasure to see you. As you know, I worked for your father for, off and on about 10 years. And he was the single most impressive human being I've ever met. And I'm going to tell a quick story. You and I talked about it the other day. Back in the day when we had Information, I think, or Mike Warren Sports, one of the two, Clinton was president. And because your father, did very well for himself, he was invited to a exclusive White House dinner. And I was the PR person, so I talked with the White House staff and negotiated when it was and such a thing. And so I told your father. He said, "Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine." And the night of the dinner, I get a phone call. Let's say it's supposed to be at 7:00. About 7:15, I get a frantic phone call from the White House saying, "Mr. Cluse, where is Mr. Lasky, your father?" I said, "Well, I assume he's there at the White House having dinner with President Clinton." And they said, "No, he didn't show up." So I asked him the next day, "What happened?" And he said, "What happened? What do you think happened? I changed my mind." So that was it.
Something better came up.
That's it. Yeah, done. The amazing guy, master sports forecaster, and you obviously, inherited the gene and studied yourself. So we're going to talk NFL football for the coming season here. A little break for people from my usual vitriol, and it's fascinating because there are some things you and I obviously don't agree on, and because it's like when you're talking to a rock, like when you're talking to me, I may not know anything, but I still have my opinions. Okay.
Yep.
So you sent me a paper of I think it's the top gambling experts predictions, right?
Yep.
And
I sent you yesterday. I had the text.
yeah, you sent it yesterday. It's a text message, and I've got it in front of me. And first of all, amazingly enough, or maybe not so amazingly, it's why you sent it to me. The team that you love and told me was going to win the Super Bowl. You told me they were going to win the Super Bowl. Tell them who it is and what the paper says about what they think the top gamblers think their record is going to be, top gambling experts, and what, in your opinion, of the whole thing.
Well, having being raised in Baltimore, Maryland, I'm a lifelong diehard Ravens fan. And so, yeah, I told you I think the Ravens win the Super Bowl. And then I saw this article which I forwarded you right afterwards. It says they predict they're going to be 16-1 this season with the best record in the entire NFL. So I'm not alone in my feeling. We'll see. I don't know about 16-1, but maybe 13-4. They're going to be good this year, I think.
They're going to be good. And you said you think that they are going to go to the playoffs and win the Super Bowl.
I think so. I mean, I think that's the team. Lamar's ready. He's been close. He's been criticized, but I think he's ready. And they have a new coaching staff, which is what they need to get a new message, I think. So I think they're on track this year to do really well.
Now, and I'm going to make this brief, but Lamar obviously is somebody you and I disagree on. I call him Lamar Long Gone Jackson because to me, every time the going gets tough, he leaves the field. And I've seen it over and over. And you say no, that you think frankly, you think I'm seeing things.
I think you're fake news on Lamar.
And you think he's one of the greatest quarterbacks in football history. Am I right?
Yeah, I do. He's the highest rated quarterback in NFL history. He just passed. He's a little ahead of Aaron Rodgers for the highest in history. And yeah, he's had a couple injuries throughout his career that haven't been good. And you can question whether he could play through the injury or not. I tend to believe that he was too hurt to play, and he wouldn't help the team, and that's why he sat out. If he stays healthy, he's one of the best. That's unquestionable.
All right, let me show you who I think was the best. Gary, do you have that clip? I was supposed to call it up before we started, but let me show you who I think it is the best.
So John came right back to Matty, behind perfect protection on a flare pass. And again, the Colts had a touchdown.
Okay, there you go. There, to me, is the greatest quarterback in history. Am I biased? Yeah, I guess so. As you say, we're both from Baltimore, and that's just
Yeah, I love Johnny U too. I mean, he was the best in my mind. I didn't really see him play, but I got to read a lot about him, saw his highlights, and definitely a different type of player than Lamar, but the best. I love Johnny U. Nothing.
We all love Johnny U. Yeah. And took us to 1958, the greatest game ever played, overtime. Unitas Tiberi on the sidelines and Don Alan Amici up the center. It's just that's legendary stuff. All right. Today, so Lamar's a running. Would you say Lamar's a running quarterback? Because to me, there's only been two running quarterbacks in football that really have been Hall of Fame worthy, and that's one of I guess is in the Hall of Fame, Fran Tarkenton, and the other is not in the Hall of Fame, though I think he should be, Michael Vick. But most running quarterbacks stop being a running quarterback pretty early in their career.
I look at it like he is the best running quarterback ever, but I would not call him a running quarterback because Michael Jordan, for example, he took what the defense gives you. If you're playing back, he'll shoot a three-pointer over your head. If you play him up tight, he'll dribble around you and score. That's what Lamar has the ability to do. If they're giving him the run, they're playing deep, he'll run 5, 10, 15 yards a pop. If they're playing up tight and want to stop the run, he'll pass, and he'll beat you either way. That's what I think. Good coaching, and Lamar, and Derrick Henry, it's unstoppable.
Unstoppable, Derrick Henry. I was going to go into Derrick Henry, but we can't spend too much time on the Ravens when we got fans all across the country. All right, the number 2 team they're saying here. Well, let's go. The number 2 Seattle Seahawks. They're predicting 15-2. Buffalo Bills 14-3. New England. Question: New England Patriots. If I'm not mistaken, the year before Vrabel, I think you pronounce his name Vrabel, right?
Vrabel, yep.
Came in as coach. They were one of the worst teams in football, right?
Yes.
And
I think he's a great coach. Definitely.
Great coach. I mean, he turned it totally around to the fact where last year, did they make the playoffs? Yeah, they did, and they lost.
No, they made the Super Bowl. They had a great year. But I don't think they'll be quite as good this year. I think they had the easiest schedule in the league last year, and that really helped a lot. And even the playoffs were kind of easy. The one tough team they played, Denver, the game snowed, and it changed everything. I think that Buffalo's going to win that division this year over New England. And New England will be good, but not – I wouldn't agree with that 14-3 record. I think it's more like 11-5, 10-6 maybe for New England.
Buffalo with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
A lot of people say Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah, I think he's it's him and Lamar and Mahomes, those three. Also the Rams quarterback. I forget his name now. Really another great quarterback. There's top 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the league. Sure.
And when you talk about back to the Patriots for just 1 minute. Okay, the Patriots won. Did they win 6 Super Bowls with Belichick?
I think it was 6, yeah.
And then the big debate was, well, are they winning all these Super Bowls because of Bill Belichick or Tom Brady? What do you think?
Well, yeah, I think there was definitely a good debate, and I was kind of leaning towards Belichick as being the genius. But once Brady left and went to Tampa and took a whole new team to Super Bowl champions, it told me that it was Brady. And Belichick was great, don't get me wrong, but Brady was the best ever. I mean, as much as we love Unitas and Lamar, Brady was the best quarterback, best NFL player in history, I would say.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right about that. And I think Belichick, I don't know whether he began losing his mind when he was still with the Patriots or whether he went absolutely crazy when they fired him. But if you had a girlfriend who was 50 years younger than you and she decided to come out for photos half nude, when do you think you would tell her put some clothes on?
Nothing good can come out of that, right?
no, no, nothing good. Nothing good. And then you probably should not have her down on the sidelines with
Yeah,
the other kids her age when the game is on at University of
exactly.
North Carolina. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So the Denver Broncos is Sean Payton, right? He's the coach.
Yep. Great team. They're definitely one of the top 3 or 4 AFC teams this year, I think, and be watching out for them. Great coach, great team, good young quarterback. That's definitely one of the teams that we have to watch in the AFC for sure.
Well, the quarterback is that Curry?
It's Bo Nix was the one.
Bo Nix.
Speaking of political, that was insane. I don't know if you heard. No, that wasn't that was the Giants quarterback. No, never mind. Yeah, but the Denver quarterback's a great quarterback. Bo Nix, right?
But it was like he was nothing. And Sean Payton went there. And suddenly, you're right. He is, I'd say, one of the top 6 or so quarterbacks in the league, right?
Yeah. No, I think I told you in our conversation, I used to, when teams weren't performing, my first go-to was the players aren't performing, right? And a lot of people I've debated with over the years say it's the coaching. And I'm like, yeah, but the coaches don't run the play. They don't catch the ball. They don't pass the ball. But I'm coming a little full circle that I start to think it is a lot more to do with coaching. And I think that, a great coach can make an average team great, and a bad coach can make a good team play poorly, and I think, I think there's no question Peyton is one of the great coaches in the league for sure. One of the top.
Great with the when he was with New Orleans. Now,
yep.
you mentioned the quarterback that is catching hell for. I think meeting with Trump. Did Jackson Dart up in the Giants?
Dart on the Giants. What was insane to me was that he just met with the president of the United States. And his teammate, a defensive lineman for the Giants, came out and called him out for it. I'm like, what are you calling him out for? And he just said, I'm going to call out people for. It's just amazing that the left gets to control the narrative too often, and it really bothers me. Why does he get to say, right? Why does he get to say it's bad what you did? But if this player met with Obama, it wouldn't be a problem, right?
No. Oh, no, you wouldn't be allowed to say anything.
Yeah.
It's preposterous. And he's catching hell left and right because he met with the president of the United States. I mean, you're kind of stupid to turn down that invitation.
Yeah. And even was forced to kind of downplay, which I was, I'm just there to, support the president or something. He wouldn't come out and say, oh, I think Trump's great or something. He could never say that,
Yeah. No, it was preposterous. Now, their running back, whose name I can't remember, little guy has a very odd name. Do you know how I'm talking about?
On the Giants?
What is it?
On the Giants?
On the Giants.
Yeah.
Tough little running back who clearly seems to be insane. Keeps doing things that are extremely high risk. I don't know how long a player like that can last in the league. There we go. Gary put it up. Cam Scatterboo, whatever. This guy keeps doing things that, it's like you've said to yourself, hey, Mark, I want you to injure yourself today. Why don't you go out and do so? That's what he does. I don't know that formula works in the NFL.
Not too bright, huh? He didn't make the NFL on intelligence, huh?
No. Yeah, exactly. Yes. So I think what do they say? What they expect the Giants this year? Holy mackerel! Where I can't even find them. Where on your list? Where did they
didn't make it? You have to probably click it to get to the Giants. Well, Harbaugh's their coach now, so that's
Harbaugh's their coach now, and they 8-9, horrible, pretty much what they were last year.
It's not bad, 8-9. I might predict they're less than that. We'll see. I think more like 6-11 or.
Wow.
I don't expect too much from them.
Okay, one or two more teams, and I guess we got to finish. I'm loving this, but we got to finish. One or two more teams. The Cincinnati Bengals. It's like there's a curse or something that hangs over their head. They just for years they had the ex-defensive coach for the Ravens as their coach, and it was like they were locked into mediocrity. They're predicting 9-8, mediocre.
I think the Bengals, because there's a salary cap in the NFL, it's sometimes hard to get all the players you want. It is hard to get all the players you want, and the Bengals have one of the best quarterbacks in the league and 2 or 3 of the best receivers in the league. So they put all their money into offense, which left not enough for defense. And so they were just terrible on defense last year. And it's hard to win consistently when your defense can't stop anyone. So I think they put a little effort into the defense this offseason, but I still think it's going to be a mediocre maybe defense and a great offense again. So we'll see. They have one of the top quarterbacks and probably the top receiver in the whole NFL. So yeah, I think they're going to be the Ravens' competition in the AFC East, but I don't know. I predict 11-6 maybe. They're still really good, but defense is going to be their question, for sure.
Defense is their question. Do you think that a team can actually get locked into a mentality? It's like when I was a kid, the Orioles of the 60s, after they got Frank Robinson, got locked into a winning mentality. I mean, before Robinson came, they were mediocre, and they got locked into that winning mentality, and we won, and we won, and we won, and we won. Do you think a team can get locked into a mentality even as the players change?
Yeah. I mean, I think if you look at teams like the Chiefs, the Patriots, there was a lot of turnover. Obviously, Brady stayed all those years, and Mahomes has been the consistent. But yeah, there's always roster turnover in the NFL. That's one of the things I don't like about it. That it's not contracts are structured that teams have to let their good players go, often. And I think it's unfortunate for fans of those teams who want to see their favorite players stay with them for their whole career. That just doesn't happen anymore. It used to happen in baseball. It doesn't happen in baseball anymore either.
No, that's right. That's right.
And then people blame the players for being mercenaries. Or I think it's the structure of the salary cap, and they should do something. The NBA has one good rule, which is it's called the Larry Bird rule, where you can re-sign your own players for more money, and it doesn't count against your salary cap space. And I think it allows teams to retain their good players, which I think is what all the other leagues should do too.
Yeah, I like that. That's a great idea. One more team, because I live in York, Pennsylvania now. I am an Eagles fan. All right, and they put the Eagles at pretty high up, 13-4, and I guess everything with that team. There are 2 players to me that everything revolves around with that team, and I want to get your opinion on it. The quarterback. I mean, I think he is capable of playing. Maybe not at a Lamar level, but very close.
Yeah.
And the running back, I can't believe it. I love the guy. He had 2,000 yards the year before last, and last year it's just.
Yeah, he's very good. What's his name? I can't remember either.
Yeah, but he's wonderful guy as well.
He's great. He wasn't as good last year though. He's been last few years before that, right?
He plummeted, and you wonder.
Oh, Saquon Barkley, yeah.
Saquon Barkley. I think everything is going to depend on Saquon. What do you think? The quarterback is going to stay where he is. He is what he is. I think, a very good quarterback. Right below guys like Mahomes and Lamar, these guys. But the running, I think everything is going to revolve around whether that Saquon can come back.
Yeah, that's definitely a part of it. I think they traded A.J. Brown, who is their best receiver too. So we'll see if they can, make up for that. But they always have a good defense. They're well coached. And Jalen Hurts, as you said, I think he's second, similar to Lamar in that he can run and pass. And their tush push is the best unstoppable play in the NFL. 3rd and 1, you can't stop it. 4th and 1, how do you stop that play?
You can't.
Yeah. So they're always a good team. They're definitely going to be competing. They're one of the top 10 teams or so in the league it's going to be in that playoff push for the Super Bowl for sure.
All right, let's finish up here with our Super Bowl prediction. The 2 teams that are going to be in it, and which one is going to be the Super Bowl winner. And we're going to come back every once in a while as the season progresses and see whether we seem to be on target. First, your prediction.
I guess I'll go with the two teams you mentioned, Baltimore versus Philadelphia in the Super Bowl. How about that?
Well, this is awful because that's my prediction too.
Oh,
But
really?
I'm predicting then that the Eagles are going to win. I'm predicting they're going to win because the quarterback of the Eagles actually is going to have a super game, which he's very capable of, and outplay Lamar. What's your prediction on the winner?
It's going to be a bird from the Middle Atlantic. I'll go with the Ravens.
All right, Mark, thank you. This has been great. This has been wonderful. This is a great break from my usual diatribes. So,
If I could say one last thing, Carter,
yeah.
I love sports, I love entertainment, and I love consuming politics, but I hate when politics gets into entertainment or sports, and they should just keep them separate. That's all I want to say.
You know what? I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. Just, just because you're a great quarterback, a great baseball player, actor, does not mean that you suddenly become an expert on politics.
Yep.
Yep. All right, buddy. It's been wonderful.
It was fun. Thanks, Carter.
We'll do it again. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. All right. What a great guy. What a great guy. And as you can see, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And geez, it's hard to believe I've known him since he was a kid. And it's just a real pleasure to have Mark Lasky on. And I'm sure his father will see this. So, Mike, you done good. You done good. All right, let's get to now that we have had our fun and games, let's get to what I promised you. And we're going to have the interview today with the top expert on expats, essentially people moving offshore. All right, we only have like 10 minutes left, so I'm going to have to be quick on this. But you need to know about this. You need to know about this because this is really pivotal, and it's something that I'm just going to say it outright. Makes you hate politicians. All right. In my case, hate them all the more. Here is a headline from the Wall Street Journal. Not an old headline. February 25th, 2026. You ready for this? Americans are leaving the U.S. in record numbers. All right, let me repeat that. Let me take a sip here. Terrible sinus problems today. Americans, this Wall Street Journal, Americans are leaving the U.S. in record numbers. Here is a AI quote, okay? The AI, a lot of people are scared of AI. Quite frankly, I find it very useful. I think this is from ChatGPT. An estimated 180,000 U.S. citizens. 180,000. Now get that number. Almost the entire viewership that MSNBC has. An estimated 180,000 U.S. citizens are now moving abroad annually. Every year, 180,000 U.S. citizens are moving abroad. This push, often termed an American exodus, write that down, an American exodus, resulted in the U.S. experiencing net negative migration. More people leaving and entering for the first time since the Great Depression. They call it the American exodus. I call it a population inversion. Carter, what do you mean by that? Here's what I mean. And as you know, my wife, let me get, I'm not going to bring up a picture of her because liberals are so hateful, they might seek her down and do something vile. But I swear to God, this doll I found at a thrift shop looks exactly like her. As you know, my wife is Honduran, okay? The brown eyes, the black hair, the olive skin. Buenos dias. So she is part of the population inversion. She, by the way, is a U.S. citizen. Worked very hard for that. We paid about $25,000 to $30,000. The government made us pay, U.S. government. Very quickly, when I went to the Honduran embassy, 13 years ago to tell him my fiance lives in Honduras. I want to bring her up here. The ambassador told me you will never get her up here as a legal citizen because Obama only wants illegal aliens. I'm just telling you, it was back when Obama was president, how many years ago that was. But at any rate, back to the topic. This drain of U.S. citizens down to the Central and South America, AI calls American Exodus. I call it the population inversion, because as we know, those folks down there, like my wife, are coming up here. Let me see if while the U.S. citizens are going down there, and it's huge. It's huge. One of the reasons for it, our neighbor to the north, Canada, which I found for years to be kind of a useless appendage, but our neighbor to the north, get a load of this. Here's one of the reasons they're leaving. Canada has fallen to 27th place in the Quality of Life Index, dropping from 9th to 27th, where it was a decade ago. Now, let me get to, so there you have the American Exodus, Canadian Exodus, and the population inversion, them coming, the Latinos coming up here. You see them everywhere, so you know they're here. Biden let 10 million in illegally, and there were already probably 30 million illegals here, and another 30 million legal. So they're coming up here. Americans going down there. Now, believe it or not, I'm more interested and alarmed by the Americans going down there than the Latinos coming up here. All right. We're not like Spain, where the idiot prime minister invited in Africans. The Latinos pretty much share our cultural mentality. Okay. What America was really based on: hard work. You pretty much pay your own way, right? You don't go on crime sprees. Let me make it clear. If you look, of course, you'll always hear about the bad illegal alien, but take account. We had 10 million, I think. Maybe there are 24 that have murdered Americans that have been apprehended. So let's not overdo this thing. Matter of fact, let me just be honest with you. When Latinos come up here and they move into one of our cities, York as an example, York City no longer exists. Those who came in and took it over after 1969 destroyed everything in sight. Every store is gone. The factories moved out, everything. What you say, why would the factories move out? Well, when you're forced to hire, when those who move in drive out the people who were your good workers because of their crime and the noise and the filth, those that you have to then hire, the ones that drove out the good people, don't show up to work, show up late, take whatever they decide to do on lunches, and are slothful. It's just the way it was. So everything's gone there, except in the areas where the Latinos have moved in, legal or not. The streets are clean again. The crime drops to nothing. You can actually walk down those clean streets again. And the homes that were just devastated are starting to be rebuilt. So with the population inversion, those Latinos coming up, for the most part, share our cultural ideas, and a pretty decent person. Not so obviously with what the Prime Minister of Spain did to his country, what the Macron did to France, what Starmer and whoever the idiot they have now as Prime Minister has done to England. They're no longer as England. England is Englandistan. It's Pakistan, Europe, and Germany is almost as bad. So but that's their problem. That's not our population aversion. Our population aversion is, okay, the Latinos moving up here. You see it every day, and you're going to see more. You're just going to see more of it, because like my wife, they grew up dreaming the American dream. Now, here's the problem, and here's why the Americans, largest number in U.S. history, 180,000 a year, are moving down there. And I can sum it up in a word. Yesterday, and I'm going to give you the word in an anecdote, like a parable. Yesterday, I had to have the front end replaced on my Thunderbird, my retro Thunderbird, classic, gorgeous. I'll show it to you one day. Matter of fact, watch my promos on Facebook, and I'll show it to you this week. And while we were there, a young guy there, can't be more than 30, was just sitting there, and he was just ruminating, just talking. He said, I wish I could get out of this country now. He said, because we're no longer free. Folks, that is it. That is it. The people coming up here from Latin and Central America, they know, you can make a lot more money up here. But as my wife has said now several times, they've sacrificed their freedom. You say, what do you mean by that? Don't they have dictators there? Well, no. Frankly, they don't. Let me tell you something. You want to live in a great country, move to Uruguay, okay? It's mostly Italian. For some reason, the Italians settled in Uruguay. They speak Spanish with an Italian accent. The architecture is Italian. The cost of living is about half what it is here. Look it up. Just look it up. But throughout Central and South America, no, they don't have dictators except really from one country, and that's Nicaragua. And if there was ever a benevolent dictator, it is Daniel Ortega. I'm just telling you. Look, I'm a guy who worked with the Contras and with Ollie North and with President Reagan to try and kill the guy 40 years ago. But the truth is, those people there, essentially drug-free, essentially crime-free, and they have a pretty good lifestyle there. But you still get land very cheaply there. Not as cheaply as 10 years ago, but still pretty good, even beachfront. So you might want to look into that one, even with Ortega there, because I'm telling you, he's going to leave you alone. If you're an American, he'll take your property. It's never happened. Okay. Nicaragua in hundreds of years has never confiscated the property of Americans, and it's not on their wish list. But the other countries are democracies. But when they talk freedom, here's what they mean. If you want to open a kiosk, my wife helped one of her friends down there, had money sent down to help her open a little kiosk to sell oranges. Obviously, they're plentiful. Orange juice, bananas, on the street corner there. And I think in San Pedro Sula, it's like the industrial city. It reminds you a lot of Baltimore when I was a kid in Honduras. Now, it's her kiosk. She works it, okay? And she doesn't have to have licenses, permits, pay massive amounts for those, have government inspectors constantly coming by hectoring her like you have in the U.S. To open a business like that in the U.S. would be almost impossible unless you started out very wealthy. Well, if you're already wealthy, you're probably not going to open a kiosk. In America, that's why there's an underground Latino economy in America now. Up the street from me, I have 2 bakeries, several car repair places, excellent quality, and they can sell to you at a good price because they don't have to have all the permits and licenses on the wall. Now, some people say, well, if you buy their food, you might get food poisoning. Well, only once, okay? And I don't think most Americans are stupid enough to continually patronize, which means it would close. But that wouldn't give the politicians power and money. So every move you make in America now, the politicians are there to control you and to pick your pocket. Think of the taxes. Think about taxes. In the Central and South American countries, taxes are almost non-existent. My wife and I have a home, a beach home, outside of La Ceiba in Honduras. Up here, we probably pay $300,000 or $400,000 for. Down there, we paid, I think, a little over $30,000. It's a gorgeous beach home. I should have got a picture for you. Would love it. And our taxes, I think, maybe are $50 a year. Property taxes. You say, Carterman, did you say a year? Yeah, I did say a year. The water bill's next to nothing. Electricity, it costs next to nothing. And the government's not there to watch every move we make. Okay. Income taxes, a fraction. Let me put it this way. The income taxes in Central and South American countries are what the politicians promised us ours would be when they instituted them in 1913. 2%, but only on the wealthiest among you. Are you paying 2% personal income tax? Are you among the wealthiest among us? Or are you paying maybe 30, 40, 50%? And you're really just middle class or a little above. That's what the politicians have done, and they're going to make it worse and worse and worse. Confiscatory taxes. When you move south of our border, you do not have that. That's gone. The exorbitant taxes. Gone is the absolute ironclad political control. A license or a permit for every move you make. Every move you make, a license or a permit. That's America today, isn't it? And you pay an arm and a leg for it. Not so throughout Central and South America. So you have the population inversion. The population inversion. And it's not going to stop. 180,000 now. It's going to go up and up and up as people realize I don't have to live in shackles and with my pocket picked on a daily basis every time you turn around. Let me put it this way, and I'll close with this. When you happen to get a letter from the government, whether it's the federal, state, or local, do you say to yourself, oh, good, I have a letter from my government? Only if you're a Dana Bash type idiot. Okay. You say, oh no, what now? You don't have that south of the border. Okay, so that's it. That's why you have the population inversion. Now let's finish up very quickly with the bold prediction of the week. Bold prediction of the week. I am predicting, and this may be resolved by the time, 1 o'clock on Thursday when this comes up, but I think it'll be another 48 hours or so. Trump's next press secretary is going to be, a lot of names bandied around now. My prediction is going to be one or two people, either Alina Habba or Deputy Press Secretary Anna Kelly now. Why? Well, they're both capable women. I don't want to take away from their professionalism, but they also both, I'm just going to tell you flat out, happen to be very beautiful women. And Donald Trump has an eye for beautiful women. It should not come as a surprise or a secret. Okay. His whole life, and I'm not criticizing it. Call me, the women say, well, you're a chauvinist pig. Yeah, okay, whatever. I don't care. Nonsense, misogynist. But he does. He likes beautiful women around him, and he lost two of them. He lost Pam Bondi, and he lost Kristi Noem. They're both gone. So he has a beautiful woman shortage. And Caroline Leavitt was a pretty nice looking woman, okay. And I think, that's where his eye is going to wander. And I think it is going to be one of those two. Okay. There's my prediction of the week, my bold prediction of the week. And that is a wrap for Coffee with the Carterman. Thank you for joining us. Write to me, clclues@gmail.com. Let's talk. We're soon going to go totally live, so we'll have a chat room for you. And don't forget, we're soon going to have the merchandise, the merch, the Coffee with the Carterman merch. So you'll be able to, and both of us will be able to drink our coffee out of Coffee with the Carterman mugs. So, as we say every week, thanks for being here. Let's get out there and fight the good fight. Let's do this thing.